Well, no, welcome back. In light of the fact that we had challenges getting you here the last time, I do want to just acknowledge that you tried really hard to get here. I mean, you were really getting creative. I think you were in Dallas, and you were like, okay, dog sleds. What can we do? We got to figure out a way.
I tried it all, and I figured that you guys were super prepared for any kind of ice and snow, but it must have been bad enough that miles of the highway were shut down. At least that's what they told me.
Yeah.
So they said no dogs. I rented a pony, and they said ponies ain't that good in the ice. And
yeah, the Ski-Doo ran out of gas. I heard all the stories. The fact is, we live in a rugged state with a wimpy airport. But it's okay.
It's the strangest airport I've ever seen in my entire life. That's for damn sure. I have offered them some of my artwork to put up instead of the freaky artwork that they have. And I hope that nobody follows me and kills me for saying that, because I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. But I do try not to look at that blue horse and its red eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll just try to keep this music thing going. I just keep my head down.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, no, sir. And I try to get on the plane and get on.
TSA's your friend.
Yeah.
I know how it works. Well, it all worked out. Here you are. Hey, also, I just every time I hear you sing, I'm just reminded of what a passionate singer you are. And I wonder, is that something you could always do? Were you like a teenage person who could sing like that? Did you know that you could do that when you were young?
It was the only thing that I knew that I could do when I was young. And thankfully, my mother would hear me in the basement or in my bedroom or whatever. And she would always, however loud it was, she would let it go and encourage me to keep singing louder. So that's a good thing, because I think I would have a lot of trouble in other lines of work. Yeah. So I've always been a loud and passionate boy, and for the most part, people have encouraged me to continue. There's been a few cases, Nick, that people have said you could be a little less loud and passionate. But those were the wrong relationships.
Yeah, I was going to... It's all about the casting.
That wasn't bad.
And so were you 13 and singing Otis Redding songs, or what were you singing? What songs were you singing?
Soon after I was, but Kurt Cobain got to me very early on. So I grew up with my mother and my brother in Pennsylvania, and there was a lot of show tunes, and my mom loved Barbra Streisand. So I would go see theatrical plays and musicals and stuff in New Jersey and Atlantic City and in Philadelphia and in New York. And my dad would pick us up every Sunday or maybe every other Sunday, depending on his mood. And I would listen to a lot of classic rock and roll, which I really took to, like the Kinks and David Bowie, rest his soul, and the Beatles, of course. So I had that, and then Kurt hit Nirvana. I was watching MTV and Michael Jackson. I was shaking it, and then Kurt Cobain hit, and I was like, man, this is something else. And so that blew my mind soon after Bob Dylan and Otis Redding. Those were the kind of my three big guys in the beginning.
It's a pretty good, potent stew to launch.
That's a spicy stew.
Yeah, yeah. Now you mentioned backstage we were talking a little bit. This new record, The Spirit Moves, is all about a lot of different kinds of changes, and you've been going through. You told me you went through a quarter-life crisis when you were around 30, which means you're going to live a long time, by the way.
I've never been good at math. No, I was just told that I had more tattoos this time, and I said a few years ago I went through I got
inked up a little bit.
A few tattoos, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll show y'all later. It was wild when Robin and I were out here earlier sound checking in bathing suits. It was quite exciting.
Well, there are some things that you've been talking about in terms of this new project, and that's different from previous ones. One of which is that this is the first record you've made sober. You said.
It's true.
Yeah. So that was.
I think it's true.
And so that's a decision that you made to change, to shift. Is that a result of that quarter-life crisis, or just?
Well, very few people quit drinking or drugs because it seems like a fun thing to do. It's usually you've tried to consume all of the alcohol or the drugs that are out there. And when you realize that you can't quite consume it all, you decide, okay, well, I'm going to try to do something else. So I just had to face it. I couldn't drink all the booze. And I had loudly and passionately given 15 years of my life to a lot of that kind of energy. And they weren't all bad times, brothers and sisters. But when you need it to feel right, that ain't the point. And so I gave it up to see what it would be like without. And gets a little boring here and there, but other than that, it's a vast improvement.
Yeah. You still got to work with a bunch of folks that you had been creative with in the past. I'm forgetting your buddy in Catskill, New York. Is it Kenny?
Kenny Siegel.
Kenny
yeah.
Siegel, yeah.
Owns a studio called Old Soul Studio. And I've got the same dear friend and drummer Malachi De Lorenzo has been with me since the very beginning. Yeah, baby. And Jeff Ratner, who's been in the band for about 5 or 6 years. Casey's our newest addition. So I feel for people when they make a decision like getting sober, and if they're in relationships that are a drag and jobs that they're struggling with, I think it's a lot harder because you go, you try to change the way that you're doing your thing, and you re-enter into a situation that's still challenging. And in my case, I was very fortunate where the guys and everybody I was around sort of lifted me up and encouraged me to be a better boy.
Made a safe place for you to make that decision work.
Yeah. Great friends.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I also know you moved to Nashville, right, since you were last year, and as many people have. How's that working out?
It's been great.
Yeah. Are you doing the co-writing thing that everybody does in Nashville, where you kind of meet to write with other people, strangers sometimes? I
did one with my friend Jill Andrews, and I thought it worked, and I said stop there, because that right there, I'm got a good batting average.
Yeah. And
I would say it's not my thing, but I think that would be narrow-minded. Our friend Johnny Fritz was talking about the great Guy Clark, who just passed away, and Johnny was talking with Guy Clark at one point and was sort of saying that the whole co-writing wasn't his thing. And I think Guy Clark said something to him, well, have you tried? And he's like, yeah. He's like, what if the guy is weird, or what if the girl this or that? And he's like, well, without that weird dude, you don't have that song. And there's a beauty in it. It's not something that I've touched on too much. I'm gone 70% of the time.
Yeah.
And when I'm back, I'm doing whatever weird stuff I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, we'll just leave that to our imaginations.
It's probably better that way.
And what about this coming? Are you touring mostly sparse and solo, or is it band touring, or what's going on?
Mostly band touring.
Yeah. And
I mix in some solo stuff, just because I love to do both.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on a good record and a solid connection to a whole bunch of people. It's not as easy as it seems to sustain one of these things that you guys do, which is to be the creative engine and write songs and sing and go out and play them and sing them every night. It takes a lot, and so sustaining a career is noteworthy and an honorable choice. So congratulations on doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to keep it up for a little while.
Yeah, man. I hope you do. We all hope you do. Welcome back, Langhorne Slim.